Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome, I'm Stefania. Today's video is gonna be a flip through of my reading journal. I'm gonna show you the pages that I've created in April. I know I'm incredibly behind with my flip through videos, but I give priority to other videos, and here we are in June doing a flip through of April, and I'll try to do the flip through of May as soon as possible as well. As always, I'm gonna start from the yearly pages and then I'm gonna move to the monthly pages. I'm gonna try to go through these pages a little bit, let's say, faster compared to the videos, because elsewhere my flip through are always so long and these pages are always the same. My yearly pages don't change throughout the year, they're still the same. I'm just gonna update them, so I'm not gonna stop too much talking about how they work. I've had it here, the books that I've read in April, and as always I'm so happy when I had more books here because there's gonna be more color and I just love it. And I color them according to how many stars I get to the books. Book log, I've had it, the books that I've read in April. Reading tracker, April was a wonderful month again, in which I managed to read each single day and I'm so happy about it. And there have been also a few years in which I managed to read more than 100 pages, which is pretty good, especially because from April on, with work it's always crazy and I don't have so much free time, so usually I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna read definitely just a few pages, so when things like this happen, I'm happy. Books that I read in April are T6. I would say it was a lovely month because it's not like I had really bad books. I mean, there was one that wasn't really the best, but then the following books were amazing. Pick one, my favorite book was A Sudden Drowning for April. Favorite books, nothing changed because after these two books at the beginning of the year, I still have to find a book that's gonna be a 5 stars for me, because here I put all my 5 stars, so it's still the same. I've updated it, but nothing changed. Monthly reads, I've added here all the books that I've read in April, and here we go to the next page because this is extremely easy to fill in and all. Then there are my two, let's say, there's this reading group and this book club. This is online, this instead we meet once a month to talk about it. Here it was A Sudden Drowning and here was Shanghai Immortal. Series tracker, okay, I haven't really updated this page, but here's the thing, basically I've decided that I'm gonna just add the series that I actually want to finish. There's one that I'm seeing now that I haven't added, which was Belladonna, because I've already read the second one in May, but I still have to add it. Elsewhere there are other books that I found out were part of series, but I've decided not to keep on going, and I thought it was stupid to write here this series because it's not like I'm gonna keep on reading them. But other than that, nothing changed. Bingo, I've updated it with whatever I've done in April, which honestly right now I can't remember. I should go and look at the monthly pages where there are the stats, and I've written that down. Storygraph challenge with April, I managed to reach 21 books. My goal this year is 50. I think I'm pretty much good on track, even if I'm not 100% sure, because let's say it in this way, May was already a month in which I've only read 4 books because I was so busy with work, and then again June, July and August are gonna be crazy, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to reach that goal or not. We'll see. Other challenges, there is the alphabet one where something has been added, and it's quite lovely to see this growing. However, a little spoiler, in May I'm not gonna be able to add anything in the title one because the letters are already all taken. And then this one, I said that last year I would have changed things this year because last year I forgot about it, and this year is happening the same. I started it here pretty well and then I forgot. I have to check this one a little bit more, and here what changed was, okay, I wasn't able to update it behind, but there was a classic and an adult book, so it's pretty good. I'm still missing 1, 2, 3, 4 things to fill in this challenge. Genre tracker, romance 2, fantasy 3, classic 1, young adult 4, adult 2, and that's it. TBR, in April I started a month with 5 books. I've added 2 more books, but I've managed to read 4, which is pretty well. And at the end of the month, in my TBR, there were only 3 books. Spoiler, everything changed with May. May was a mess. So many books arrived with May, let's say it in this way. Reading stats, in April, I've read 6 books, 2 ebooks, 4 physical books, 1,823 pages. I've read for 30 days. 0 book in English again. This is happening because I'm trying to give priority to my TBR, the physical one that I already have there in the house staring at me, and the majority of them are in Italian. Actually, I've started adding books in English again in May, so maybe in June something is gonna happen because May again, number of books in English 0. I'm not happy with myself about this. Italian 6, and then the rating. And as you can see, it was pretty a lovely month considering there were 3 books that got 4 stars and off. Now we can move to the monthly pages. As always, you can find the Plan With Me video online in case you want to check it out. I'm not gonna talk about the stats anymore because I've just said enough with the yearly pages. Monthly view. As I've said in my previous videos, I think it was my May Plan With Me video and others, April started with a book that was taking me forever. I wasn't enjoying it, and so at a certain point I was like, you know what, add another book. So every single time you can't read the one anymore, not because you don't have more time, but because you just mentally can't. You can move to another book and read that one instead of wasting time by not reading at all. This is why the first few days there was only a book, and then I started with 2 books at the same time. And then I don't know exactly why I've done it again with the next 2 books. So April was definitely a different monthly view for me because usually I only have 2 books in the same day when I'm finishing and starting one, or if one of the books is non-fiction, because I found out that with non-fiction I can't read so many chapters once after another. I need to break them, let's say, like take my time for that. And so usually I read that with another fiction book, but with another book. But other than that, this is definitely different for me. And there are exactly 6 books that are the books I read in April, because I managed to finish the last book of the month exactly on the 30th, so amazing. Reading tracker, I have already said this, so I managed to read each single day, and there have been days in which I've read definitely a lot of pages, and days in which let's say I've just read about 20 pages, but that's perfectly fine. The important is to read a little bit each single day. Now I'm gonna move to the pages that I've created for the books. As always, I'm gonna try to talk about them without saying too much because I don't want to give any spoilers. So I'm gonna try my best, even if I already know that at the end of the day I will have to edit this video so much, because I always say this, then while I'm talking about the book I don't realize it and I say so many things which are spoilers, and then while editing it I'm like, no, cut this away, cut. So I know this video is gonna be incredibly edited. The thing is that my flip through videos are exactly that, flip through, not let's say this is not a review. So of course I don't want to give spoiler because It's literally me showing you what I've created in my reading journal and maybe giving you some ideas for books that you could read or not. And for sure, I don't want to give spoilers because I'm the first one that hate that. And so I'm gonna try to talk about the books without saying too much about them. First book of the month, Shanghai Immortal, 2 stars and up. I couldn't stand this book anymore. It took me forever to read it. I started it at the end of March and finished it about the 10th of April, so it took me more than 10 days to read this one. And no, I'm not gonna read the next one that's gonna come out, which should be something like Paris Immortal, something like that, I'm not sure. But no thank you, one was more than enough. I wasn't a fan of the main character, she was quite of pissing me off a lot of time, and then I felt like the author tried so much to make it funny, and honestly there were moments in which I was like, should I be laughing at this? Because it's not working. I'm not laughing, I'm not finding it funny. It was really hard, I wasn't really enjoying it. Also the plot, the whole time that they are in the normal Shanghai, so not the immortal one, the one with normal human beings that they know are gonna die before or later. All of that part, so many chapters that could have been all put together in a single chapter, because basically nothing happens there. All the things that are happening in these chapters, they could have been literally put in a chapter or two, so I felt like so many pages got wasted there. And I just couldn't do it. It took me forever. I started feeling more into the book basically by the end, when things start to move and things start to, let's say, take control of the plot, but elsewhere it was really boring for me, so it was definitely a no for me, 2 stars and a half. Then it was time for The Secret Garden. I've had this book in my TBR for so long, from October. We all know that I'm not a fan of classic, but that I'm trying to read more of them. So I was like, okay, it's time. And I've decided to read it while I was also reading Shanghai Immortal, and the thing is that I loved this one, 4 stars. I absolutely loved it so much. The thing that I think I love the most is the characters, because they really grow throughout the book. Mary and Colin at the end aren't the same that they were at the beginning, and I am absolutely a fan of it. You can crystal see them changing throughout the book, understanding how things are in real life, understanding that they're not the center of the world, that there are other people. Another thing that I loved is that this book, according to me, it can change a lot from whenever you decide to read it. I'm gonna try to explain it. For somebody who's definitely younger, could be a lovely book and could be also full of magic. For somebody who's older, instead, you can see that what the kids call it magic is extremely important, because at the end of the day, Colin decides that he's not sick anymore. This is the big difference. The power of thoughts and words, it's well made in this book. I'm very in love with this book. I think it's crystal clear, and the messages that can give are amazing. Next book, A Study in Drawing, 4 stars and half. 2 things. First one, I have a video in which I'm showing you how I've created this spread, so if you want, you can go and check it out. Second, while working on the video, you can see that the first thing that I do is and I never do it on camera, I already done it before, is I just write the title with a pencil, so I can see if it's gonna fit, if I need to move something here or there, I just have an idea. And then I go with colors on the pencil. Why I'm saying this is because even in that video you're gonna see me working on the spread and then showing you the result and all, and only when it was time to create the thumbnail for that video I realized that I've done it again, mistaken the title. I'm missing a letter. I don't know how I could do it again. I already was without word for the first time with the other book, and now this month it happened again. Yeah, I'm speechless about it. Anyway, let's ignore the mistake in the title, which I don't know how to fix because I'm scared if I'm gonna try to fix it, I'm gonna actually make a mess. So this is how it's gonna stay. I know I'm missing a letter here, but that's how it's gonna stay. I definitely loved this book. I think that what really got me the most was, first of all, the fact that you couldn't understand if what was happening was actually real or if it was all something that Effie's mind was making up. And I want you to know, so I kept on reading it, if it was actually something that was happening or if it was just her seeing things and making us thinking that they were real. What's well made here are the descriptions of places, because I really felt like I was inside that house, and in the moment in which F in person moved from that house to another one, I felt the difference, which is crazy. But while they were in that house, I was like, I felt like I couldn't breathe that well. I don't know if it makes sense. And then in the moment in which they moved to another house, there was a well-made house without all of that humidity, without all of these problems, without things that were falling apart. That's when I realized I started breathing normal again. And when they moved back to that same house in which they were before, that's when I started feeling a little bit off again, let's say it this way. So I really think these things were done very well, but there was something that was like, for this reason I can't give you 5 stars, and this that sometimes things were too much there. Stuff that if it takes, it doesn't matter the fact that they were pink, okay? Because at the end of the day, if they would have been green, nothing would have changed, okay? So I was like, maybe it's an important detail. That's why she keeps on saying it, that the stupid pills are pink. Instead, there was no reason. So all of these things for me were quite a no. Also, I definitely loved it, and I loved the characters. There were so many things that I've actually figured out way before the ending, and I was sure about it. But at the same time, I was like, okay, I'm sure about my theories, but what if they're all wrong? So I kept on reading just to reach the end to see if I was right and to fully understand if whatever Effie was living was true or false. I really loved it. I definitely went inside this book and I came out loving it even more. Then it was time for Dark Wings, 3 stars. This is an Italian book. I don't think it's out in any other language, so I'm not gonna talk too much about it. I think the ideas behind it are all amazing, but I don't think they're very well done. The plot twist at the end, is it a plot twist? Yes and no. Like, could you imagine who was who before? No, because that part makes no sense with the rest of the story. So I'm sorry, it's not like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen it coming, but if I think about it now, it makes sense. No, it's like, I haven't seen it coming and it still makes no sense. So it was literally like, I want to surprise the reader and I'm gonna throw this off without thinking that it may be the worst idea ever, because why? I mean, there's no way. It's not that bad as a start of a series, because it's actually a series, but I'm not gonna read the next books. I'm sorry. There were so many parts that were constantly there. It was like reading the same thing over and over through different chapters, and I quite have got tired of it. Then the world building is quite missing here. It's not crystal clear exactly if they are in a world that's so, let's say, so-like horse or not. It's not even crystal clear because there are demons and angels, if this is normal for humans, like they know about them or they don't, and when they are put in front of the reality of things, they are really surprised or not. I mean, I gave it 3 stars because it has potential, but that's it, not because it was the best book ever at all. I'm sorry. Also, I'm not a big fan of it. 3 stars, and as I've just said, I'm not gonna read the second and the third. This one was more than enough for me. And then another book by an Italian author, Due cuori in affitto. I loved it, 4 stars and a half. I was really into the story and I definitely couldn't stop reading it. There were some parts that left me a little bit like, why are you doing it? Which are basically the reason why I couldn't give it 5 stars. Like at a certain point, I loved the first part, I loved what was in the middle, but a little bit before the ending, I was like, okay, I'm quite of getting boring here. Just finish the book, because if you keep on going on this path, I'm not gonna enjoy it anymore. I don't know if it makes sense, but this is how I felt. So it's quite of why I couldn't give it 5 stars. For these few chapters in which I started feeling like that, I was like, okay, tell me something is gonna happen, it's gonna change a little bit, and then he did, luckily. So it went back on a 4 stars and out. Another book, always by the same author of the previous one, and just like for the previous one, I really get into the story. I just couldn't put down this book. I loved it. 4 stars and half. In this case, what I wasn't really a fan was everything that happens in London. All the parts that are happening when they're in Italy, they were wonderful, they have a point. But then when they moved the story to London, there were so many parts, according to me, that were missing there. So I was like, or you do that part better, or just don't do it. I wasn't really a fan of that part at all. I started reading books by Felicia last year, and then it seems like I can't stop. Every time I get one of her book, I start it and then I fully get into it, and I just can't put it down. She writes in a lovely way, like it's not boring, it's not a book that's gonna take you forever to read. It's really catchy, let's say it in this way. And even for this one, I definitely loved it. 4 stars and half. So these are the books that I've read in April. Have you read them? Yes, no? Are them in your TBR? Let me know it with a comment. I definitely enjoyed April. It was a month full of lovely books, because other than two weren't the best, all the other were extremely lovely. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, remember to give it a thumb up and to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye!